All right. Okay, good evening. My name's Bill McDonald. I'm with SCORE out of the Charlotte chapter. Um, and I want to welcome you to tonight's Simple Steps for Starting Your Business. It's a seminar, webinar that's brought to you both by SCORE through the Small Business Administration and through the sponsorship and support of Truist Financial. Uh, Truist has been a sponsor of ours for a few years now, and I want to thank them again for making this class available to the public. Uh, Tonight we have with me Kiana Grant from SCORE. She is going to be the class manager. She will handle, you should direct all your questions and concerns while I'm making the presentation to her, and she'll do her best to answer them. And then we have Cam 2 Berg out of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library, who will also be making a presentation uh, somewhere around 6:30 until 7 o'clock, and then whatever we need to wrap up, we'll take over from 7 o'clock. Just a little bit about me. I spent 20 years as a director of operations for a 12-store franchise in the Philadelphia market of McDonald's restaurants. Uh, I started cooking fries one night, and not too many years later, I was director of the company. We had 12 stores throughout the Philadelphia area and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we had a couple stores down the Jersey Shore. After my career with McDonald's, I bought a country store in Vermont. And much like you who are starting your own business or thinking about going into business for yourselves, um, that drew me. But I also realized I had many uh, deficiencies, many areas that I needed to learn quickly. And I found at that time I reached out to SCORE and found myself finding an accountant, finding somebody to support my initial opening difficulties, and to keep me in business. So I was in business for 25 years and moved to the Charlotte area in 2016. And it was just about 2 years ago that no, it was a year ago that I decided to start giving back to the business community. Uh, I am happy to say that I was Rookie of the Year. It's not every day that a 72-year-old man can be Rookie of the Year, but I was the new Mentor of the Year 2023 for the Charlotte chapter. I look forward to working with you tonight. I'm not going to read the PowerPoint presentations. I'm not going to uh, go into detail on each one, but we're going to get all the information across to you and hopefully allow you to answer some questions for yourselves. So let me introduce Kiana Grant, and she'll tell you a little bit about herself and her experience with SCORE.
Thank you so much, Bill, for opening us up. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kiana Grant. I am also a certified SCORE mentor with the Charlotte chapter. I have been with the chapter since April of last year. Unfortunately, unlike Bill, I am not retired, so I am still working, but I do work for myself. So I don't punch a 9 to 5 clock. I punch a sun up to sundown. But my company, Casey Consulting Group, focuses on operations. And so a lot of what I do with SCORE and the clients that I assist, we definitely touch bases on all things for startups in the realm of getting the business foundation secured and really solidified as you nurture your ideas, continue to figure out what resources are best fit for your specific organization or company, and we have a good time. And so I look forward to engaging with you all this evening. I have allowed everyone the opportunity to talk, which should allow you to engage in the chat. So if you could, in the chat, um, put in the chat your name, your business, maybe where you're at, location wise, and put something that you would like to gain from the presentation today, so that way we can make sure we give you all what you are looking for while you are participating this evening. And I'll hand it back to you, Bill.
Okay, thank you very much. The other thing that I want to make everyone aware of, we are recording tonight's presentation, and you'll be able to get copies emailed to you in the either tomorrow or um, the days ahead. So both the PowerPoint cards and the conversations and the chat will be made available to you as the week goes on. Little bit about SCORE. We're all volunteers. We've been successful in working in business or owning our own business. Um, we conduct seminars and workshops. This is only the first in a series of many that are available to you, both in getting you started in business and in addressing specific problems or opportunities you have in the business. We offer free mentoring one-on-one. Right now, 95% of us do all our mentoring online through Zoom meetings. I do have two clients that I visit on site one-on-one. But there are special cases, and every mentor handles those requests differently. You can reach out to us through email, and you can find all this wealth of information, all this knowledge at charlotte.score.org. Score North Carolina, there's the cities that are addressed. If you're part of this seminar, you've already had contact with us. So you probably came in through one of these chapters, although we have chapters throughout the country. And I am addressing you right now from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but my home office is in Rock Hill, South Carolina. A little bit about the process of simple steps. Um, Tonight's lesson is the startup basics. And after the basics, you're going to decide if this is really what you want to do. And you'll contact SCORE, we hope, and set up a one-on-one mentoring relationship. After the mentoring relationship is established, then you go into session two, where you go into the business concept and you decide whether it's a viable business, how it needs to be refined, and how you want to go forward with it. Um, After session two and all the way throughout, you get to a go, no go decision on whether you're actually going to pull the trigger and have your own business. Step three, marketing plans. Step four, financial matters, getting your break-even analysis, your pro forma income statements, and your balance sheets already in case you have to present to somebody for Section 5, which is how to get funding, which is something we all are concerned about. So if everybody's ready and all is well, um, Kiana, let me ask you a question. My screen doesn't show me speaking. Am I visible to the group?
Yes, you are. I can see you.
Okay. Much to your dismay, I'm sure, but I'm here and we're going to get right into it. Tonight, you're going to learn a little bit about the myths and realities of being your own boss. We're going to talk about some of the things that are critical to your success, a little bit about business ownership. We're going to try and make it legal, talk about business plans. And then at the end, and this is probably the most important part of the whole process, I'm going to ask you to complete a self assessment. The self assessment, all it asks is that you be honest. There are no right answers, there are no wrong answers. It's just a matter of taking a self assessment and deciding if this is the direction you want to move forward. And then the next steps are relatively easy. You contact SCORE in your local area and you ask them for to be assigned a mentor, and the two of you will take it from there. So some of the myths, uh, and Kiana can address this, and I can address this. But as an entrepreneur, you won't have to work hard or put in long hours. Um, just simply not true. The first problem is you're your own scheduling manager. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to fire myself because I overscheduled my day. It is very easy to be overwhelmed by your business. It's not unusual to work 10, 14, 16 hours a day when you first start out, trying to make sure everything's right, trying to take care of the customers. Uh, it's the most rewarding experience, but it's also the toughest job I've ever taken on. You may think that your product or your service is unique to you and there is no competition. Two things. If there is no competition, then it's probably because everybody else in the world has figured out that there's no viable platform for your business or for your concept. You may come up with an Amazon, you may come up with a Costco, you may come up with a Microsoft. There's no saying that the Facebook, there's no saying that those people haven't been successful in creating a whole new market. But the odds are that you're going to have competition and you're going to need to take that into consideration when you start your business. No, you can't deduct everything. You're going to pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes more than you even know exist already. Um, there's going to be business taxes. There's going to be sales taxes. There's going to be payroll taxes. There's going to be transport taxes. Um, there's any number of taxes that you're going to have to be paying, and that cannot be deducted from your income. Uh, you're as a business owner, you won't have a boss. If you don't allow the customer to be your boss, you're not going to be successful, because in my interpretation of who a boss is or what a boss is, it's somebody who demands excellence. It's somebody who wants to be satisfied and who you want to satisfy. And as a business owner, we call them customers, but they're really the people that set the tone for your day-to-day activities and how to be successful. And business owners get to do whatever they want to do within reason. That could be true. Um, Again, I came out of McDonald's where it was all franchise operation, and you had to put two pickles on a Big Mac, and you had to put two slices of cheese on a quarter pounder with cheese and whatever. Whereas when I went into my own business, I could introduce a new product in an afternoon or in the morning without going through hoops and hurdles to get there. But on the other hand, you have to do your business ethically, you have to do your business honestly, and you have to do the things for your business that allow you to be successful. So no, you don't get to do whatever you want to do, but it you do have a certain amount of freedom that being an employee for somebody else doesn't allow. But proper planning is the key. After 20 After 2 years in business, only 24% of the businesses fail. So in 2 years, 76% of business with two or more employees are relatively successful. In other words, their doors are open. And it depends on your definition of success. After 2 years, are they making money hand over fist? Probably not. After 2 years, are they breaking even and showing a profit? Yeah, probably. That's probably the definition of success you're looking for. Can you afford to keep the doors open after 2 years? But after 5 years, nearly half the businesses have failed. Either they failed to plan, they failed to have enough working capital to start their game, or some other problems arose that they didn't anticipate, um, and they weren't able to overcome, and they had to walk away. Having a mentor, having somebody to talk to before you make those costly decisions, having before you invest all your money into a business can help you avoid that. And this 50-50 after 5 years is skewed to be across the board of all businesses. Food and beverage industry, restaurants, bars, they have a much higher rate of failure, um, because not only are you trying to sell food and trying to sell beverage, but you're also trying to create an ambiance that the customer and the guest is the customer and guest enjoys and wants to come back to. So in that specific industry, these numbers are wrong. But on the whole, it's 50-50 after 5 years. This is the first self assessment of the night. You're going to need these skills or be able to find people to provide these skills for your business if you're going to succeed. First of all, do you have the education or do you have experience in the field that you want to start out in? Have For me, when I bought my country store, I knew how to run a business, but I knew how to handle customer service. But the first person that asked me for a layer mash, I took him to the hardware section thinking it was something to do with concrete and tiles. And it turns out that layer mash is chicken feed. for the laying hens. So no, I didn't know everything I needed to know about my business. Um, but you need to have enough to make it all work. You need to have a strong work ethic. You can't go home at the end of the night with something left undone that should have been done. You can't uh not get up in the morning to go to work because you don't feel like it. You can't take an extended lunch hour. You need to stay focused on your business. You need to have a plan and you need to work that plan. Time management, as always, is a challenge. Um, I don't know how you currently manage your time. If you have a job, probably your employer manages your time for you. Um, but if there is a skill above all others that I think is critical to success, it's effective time management. Kiana and I were talking before the session tonight, and she mentioned something about making the most of the 24 hours that are available to her in a day. Well, that is a sign of a business owner. Um, they look at it as having 24 hours available to do what needs to be done. Um, as an employee, you can look at what needs to be done in 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. You can lock up your desk and close the door and go home and it's over. But as a business owner, you've got 24 hours to schedule on a given day. You need to have the ability to manage your environment and be able to multitask. You have to be willing to ask for help and take advice from others. Again, your customer is your boss. Uh, in my business, I decided one day on a whim to move product. I think it was some beer brands from one shelf to a different door in the cooler and replace where that beer was with sandwiches. Um, it only took a day for me to realize that people were going to that door specifically for those beer brands, and they were not happy that I had changed their store. So we moved everything back and put the sandwiches somewhere else, and everybody went happy. Um, but it is something to be aware of, and you need to be willing to bite the bullet and admit that you don't know it all and can't do it all. Finally, there is no limit to how much capital you should have to open your business. There's a low end, but once you accomplish acquiring the low end, you should continue to work to have adequate capital. You're going to need capital to buy supplies. You're going to need capital to buy equipment. You're going to need capital to buy inventory. You're going to need capital to sustain your lifestyle for 6 to 12 months after you open before you start turning a profit. Um, you're going to need as much money as you can put together uh, to cover your expenses, and that's capital after you make your down payment on your business or after you sign the lease agreements. Financial resources. These are all the costs that are involved, and these are all the things you need to take into account. Again, I don't want to read them all, but I will highlight the ones that a lot of people don't always remember, and that's licenses and permits, professional fees. Every business should have an accountant, an attorney, and a CPA. a certified public accountant. You need to have those people available to give you a strong business foundation. Uh, and you may need other help along the way. You may need a bookkeeper. You may need some other tax preparers. But if you have those three, an attorney, a CPA, and the other one, you'll be able to get through with what you need. And you're going to hear me say that third one by the end of this slide. Uh, Obviously, you're going to need capital for salaries and your taxes and fees. That's the other thing we talked about. Uh, Taxes and fees for making sure that you have met your town's requirements. Kiana, jump in. What's the third one? Attorney, CPA?
For professionals or just kind of initial
Yeah,
considerations?
professional fees. The
Um,
professional fees. Attorney, CPA, and is there another one?
I think for startup, those would give some great framework foundations. And yeah, I think the main thing is definitely the CPA and understanding the business finances at the beginning,
Yep.
um, and building that solid framework. Yeah, your attorneys for your contracts, if necessary, legal parameters, security. I think that maybe from a professional standpoint, those would be the main two that I would say are framework necessities with costs.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you. Maybe I didn't forget the third one. Um, but the other relationship you're going to need, but probably won't be a fee-based relationship, is you're going to want to have a good relationship with a bank and a banker uh, to make sure you're able to get funding later. And of course, all these other things that are listed are part of the essential considerations of what you're going to need for your startup costs. And the financial considerations, uh, I've already touched on your cost of living. Do you have any outstanding debt? Do you have some savings? And are those savings enough to cover 6 to 12 months of expenses? Uh, you want to make out to have outstanding debt and go into business is a killer. Interest rates are what they are. You don't want to use a credit card to fund your business. And if you're going to go to a bank to fund your business, they're going to look at your credit rating, and having a large amount of outstanding debt before you launch your experience uh, is just going to make it that much more difficult to get any money from a bank. So here's your sources, and be creative, but your personal savings, family and friends. I don't like to count on revenue from the business until you actually have revenue from the business, but it is a source of working capital. You can borrow from a bank and get loans from a bank, or you can borrow from anybody and get loans from anybody at an interest that you can live with. Um, I have one client right now who is selling basically loyalty memberships. Um, he's trying to raise, I let's say $5,000 right now, and he's trying to do it $100 at a time. And he's trying to go to the public and say, "We're going to open this business in your location, um, and if you become a member of our business, we'll give you a certain discount, or we'll give you a certain perk that um, to reward your early." participation. Um, Ben and Jerry's, the famous ice cream company that started in Vermont. Um, when they started out, uh, if you bought, I can't remember if it was 10 shares of stock. If you bought 10 shares of stock, uh, they gave you ice cream for a period of time, and it was free. So I mean, there are creative ways to raise money, but most of the traditional ways are the way most of us raise our funds. Credit cards, stay away from them, stay away from them, stay away from them. Uh, they are just too expensive a source for any kind of capital. Okay, before we go into our next part of Know Your Options, Kiana, were there any questions or any comments that we need to address?
Yeah, we do have the first question that I see is going to be when putting together basic event contracts and waivers, can I use a modified template found on the internet, or is it something I need to hire a lawyer, a lawyer to write up?
Um, it's a hybrid. You can use a template you find on the internet. You can make it work for your organization, but anytime something like that is created, you should run it by an attorney anyway. Um, but if you already have a document in hand, take it to an attorney. It's a lot less expensive than asking an attorney to write it out of whole cloth. So, yes, you can use a template. Um, a lot of people are using LegalZoom now or something to that effect. Um, and if you're comfortable with that and you're relatively assured of a simple process, then LegalZoom's fine. But I still hold that whenever you enter into any kind of agreement or create any kind of contract, you should have a lawyer look it over.
Yes, and another platform is Rocket Lawyer as well. That is kind of like a
Yep.
you know, quick, fill in your
Excuse me.
information. They'll draft it up, put in your state, and they'll try to make it, as compliant for state regulations. And then also too, when I think about events, make sure that you have some sort of insurance. That also has like legal parameters around an event that may yield some safeguards for your business. But definitely, I would still want to have an attorney in your pocket essentially, so that way you can consult with some of your ideas. It really is about building that relationship, so that way everything doesn't feel like it's a fee associated, but more so someone who can kind of guide you in those legal parameters that you may need at any given moment.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because no
And
matter,
so,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry. I asked the question. This is Heidi. Thank you. And I had a follow-up question as far as the best way to source a lawyer for such matters.
the best way to source a lawyer.
Yeah, just to find one that, with startups, I mean, lawyer fees can be quite high. So as far as if I don't already have a lawyer that I work with, um, what's the best way to find one? Is it someone, when you reach out to other businesses, finding out who they use, or recommendations from CPA, or what's the recommended route for that?
Here's my answer. Kiana may have a different one. Um, First, your comment about going to other businesses. First, if you do that, go to other businesses that are similar to yours.
Mhm.
You don't want necessarily uh, a food and beverage, an attorney that specializes in food and beverages operations to handle your real estate business and so on and so forth. So find somebody who has done work in your business. And the second thing is, I always recommend that you talk to three different lawyers. They usually give you a half hour to an hour free, um, just to have a meet and greet and discuss what you're interested in. Um, Talk to three lawyers and decide which one you're most comfortable with, whether it's their fee schedule, whether it's their personality, whatever it is, whether it's their office efficiency, because you're going to be talking to that lawyer in your first few years on a surprisingly regular basis. And you're going to want to have somebody that you can work with and you can trust. Kiana, anything else, Dan? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. And again, if you still have questions at the end of the night, contact your local SCORE chapter and we'll try and hook you up with a mentor and point you in the right direction.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
again. Okay, let's talk about some options that you have available. You can start a new business. You can buy a business. You can buy a franchise. You can open a business from home. You can have an online business or you can start a nonprofit operation. If you're going to start a new business, one of your advantages is that you're not hampered by that business's reputation, any other business's reputation or technologies. You can choose your own location, name, logo, and build your own relationships, and you can explore new markets and directions. The disadvantage is that you don't have a base to build on. You have to create your own customer base. You're taking a bigger risk, and there's no track record, so it's very difficult to get financing. It's difficult to get financing anyway. It's just more difficult when you're trying to get it without any track record or without any other business that's already been in that location. So, starting a new business is an adventure, but it's not for the faint of heart.
And Bill, I just
I
want to pop in.
Sure.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I lost
No,
connection.
not at all. Go ahead.
No, I just want to let you know I'm back in.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering where you went, but thank you for jumping back in. Um, so buying an existing business. This is what I did after I got out of the franchise world. I bought an existing business. Um, it had an established clientele, it had suppliers, and it was a known location. The business is a known quantity with proven formula and name. That can be an advantage, and we'll see later that can also be a disadvantage. But you'll have financial records to review, and you'll see how profitable they were and how they ran their business. And since the business has a track record, it's usually easier to obtain financing. Um, in my case, I decided I was going to purchase this business on a Wednesday. I closed with a agreement in principle with that business owner on a Friday, and I walked into a bank on Monday and got fully financed for the purchase of the business. It was $300,000. I put 110,000 down. But I was coming out of Philadelphia and I was moving to very rural Vermont, and it was just because that business had been there in various forms since the mid 1800s, that we were able to get the financing relatively quickly and easily. The disadvantages are there's hidden issues. That business could have debts that you may be liable for. That business may have a poor reputation. Uh, it may be in business simply because people shop there because they like that owner. And if new owners come in, they're going to be disappointed and they won't come back. You may find yourself saddled with out of date inventory or other issues. Um, does that business have a good reputation? Frankly, I don't put a lot of stock in that. Um, if it has a good reputation, you're able to build on that. If it has a bad reputation, you're able to say under new management, try us, tell us what you think, and let us make an impression. So the reputation that that business has isn't critical to your decision whether you should buy it or not. Is the inventory obsolete? Uh, Again, I bought a country store. It was a grocery store. Um, and there was product out of date on the shelves that was counted in the opening inventory. I didn't realize this till I got into it a little bit later. So I bought about $10,000 worth of worthless inventory. Um, but you just, it's the question of buyer beware. Will you have an employee issue? Will employees leave because you're coming in, or were the employees members of the family of the owner that you're buying the business from? You need to make sure you're going to be able to staff your business, um, at least for the immediate future after you take over. And no matter what the results of that former business, if it was successful, there's no guarantee that success will continue. It's the impact you make on the business that determines whether it's successful. The store when I bought it was doing a respectable $285,000 a year, and people thought that its optimum output would be a $500,000 revenue a year. With some of the things that we did to change the structure and change the approach and change the product, um, we took that $285,000 business, and in 3 years we were doing a million and a half, and we were able to maintain between a million and $1.5 million in revenue for the next 20 years. So your participation, your management, your uh, contribution is what's going to determine whether you're successful or not. You could buy a franchise. Uh, Even McDonald's isn't the golden ticket that it used to be, and it is certainly not inexpensive to get into. Last I looked, you needed an initial investment of unencumbered cash of approximately $500,000. But there's a unbelievably large selection of franchises that are out there. If there's a product or a service that exists, there's probably a franchise operation uh, that can help you get organized and started. One of my clients is a pole dancer. Her entire business model is a pole dancing fitness club. She's got a business, or she's got a club in Aspen, Colorado. She has a club in Charlotte, and she has a club in Tampa, and she's looking to franchise her logo and her trade name and everything else and open more gyms throughout the country. I know there's a lawn mowing franchise, car washing franchise. There's a if you can think of a business, there's a franchise for it. Uh, you get training and professional guidance. You get consultants, and you can. There's a network of other franchisees that can help you either with product or with support or with employees or anything else. Disadvantage is limited freedom. You will have to pay ongoing royalty, franchise, marketing fees. You're bound to a contract that limits your exit options. And if the franchisor has problems anywhere in the country, they're your problems. A few years ago, I believe it was Wendy's or some other large chain who had listeria on their lettuce. Their stores took a hit no matter where they were. The listeria problem was somewhere in the upper mid Atlantic or Midwest, Chicago, Indiana, somewhere up there. Um, but stores across the country were affected. So you have to know that if a franchisor or a franchisee anywhere in the country has a problem, because your name is theirs, uh, they will their problems will become your problems. Um, Back to McDonald's quickly about a franchise. Uh, if you've seen the Founder movie or read anything about McDonald's, Dave, they were only briefly in the hamburger business. Um, what they found to be their money making uh, mode was real estate. Every McDonald's restaurant in the world is built on land that McDonald's owns. So not only are you paying your royalty and your other fees, you're paying rent or mortgage to McDonald's to have your building on their property. If for any reason you violate your franchise agreement, they can buy you out, but you can't sell your business and you can't run a different business on that property because McDonald's owns it. And that's where you get into the binding contract also that limits your exit options. Really popular since COVID, your home based and remote business. Uh, Obviously, right now, this class is coming to you from the living room of a friend's house because I had to be in Philadelphia on the last minute notice. So you have a convenient work location. There's less overhead, no very flexible schedule. There are some tax advantages because you can write off the portion of your house that you use as your office or for conducting business. Um, you can write that off for income tax purposes. And you can hire people anywhere in the world or in the US. Disadvantages if you're in a HOA development or if there's a zoning requirement that doesn't allow any type of business, or if the deed to your property doesn't allow any type of business, uh, you obviously can't do a home-based business. Um, Isolation from others. Uh, I got to be honest, there's times when I was in business that I wish I had the opportunity to be isolated from all others. But if you do it on a day-to-day basis, you're not going to, you may or may not enjoy it. People miss the interaction, people miss the collegiality of working in the business. You may not miss the politics of being in a business, but you'll miss the people, the social interactions. You also have difficulty finding financing. Uh, they're home based and remote businesses are relatively new concepts. Banks are not sure of them. Banks look at businesses the same way employers look at remote employees, in that they doubt that they're going to be able to be productive uh, as much as they need to be. So banks are very reluctant to finance a remote business. And then finally, family distractions. Unless you have a quiet room with a door on it, you can count on your dog coming in to make his presence known. If you have a toddler in the house, uh, and obviously your spouse, partner, or significant other who are roaming the house. And for whatever reason, no matter how many signs you put up that you're going to have a meeting at 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, um, they're going to realize or not realize that you're busy and come popping in and ask what you want for dinner. So you have to be able to control the family distractions. I'll find it. Online businesses. The real problem with online, well, let's go through the advantages. I'm sorry. I don't want to jump ahead. Um, you can start an online business relatively simple. There are places to build websites. There are places to get marketing plans. There are places to uh, get credit card processing and everything else all in one with one click of a mouse. So your startup costs are relatively low. People are more willing to purchase from an online shopper or an online business than they were even as little as 5 years ago. Again, COVID has changed the perception of people that people have of online businesses. You have an expanded geographic reach. You're not limited to your immediate neighborhood or your community. Your customers can access your site at 2 in the morning as easily as they can access your site at 2 in the afternoon. And if your business appeals to insomniacs, it can be very successful as an overnight business. And you have the flexibility to do business anywhere, anytime. The disadvantages is there's a lot of competition right now. Again, it's not quite the tech bubble of the early 2000s, but it is um, a economic force to be dealt with. More and more people are giving it a shot. And this is the one that I almost jumped the gun on. People have really high expectations for an online business. Amazon, Walmart, uh, even Facebook Marketplace have set standards for satisfying your orders uh, to such an extent that even the slightest difficulty you have in shipping or producing or fulfilling the order is going to be noted, and you're going to get a hit on your day-to-day operations. And again, you're back to the problem. If you're online, you don't have any real personal contact and you don't have any real interaction with your customers. Nonprofit. The only way to make money in a nonprofit is to be one of the executive officers and you draw a salary. But to get a business off the ground that is a nonprofit, there may be government and foundation grants. There may be protection from liability for the directors and its employees. And again, you have ability to sustain a lifestyle with salaries or consulting fees. Disadvantages: it must focus on an educational or charitable purpose, and it cannot profit those who created the organization. All profits remain within the organization, so the most you're going to make is your salary. And you must apply and qualify for a 501c3 status and or sales tax exemption. And I'll hit on that real quick. I started a 501c3 with a variety of colleagues that promoted country stores in Vermont. The educational part was small business and history, but our secondary purpose was to advocate for our businesses at the state level, state government level, local government levels, so that we weren't taxed and we didn't have the legal obligations that some of the bigger corporations had. Um, so that was why the 501c3 was established, and we were able to maintain that uh, with those restrictions. It's 6:27 right now, and I promised Kim to Berg from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library half hour to make her presentation. We still have maybe less than half of our presentation left to be made. And so I'll ask you to save your questions or send them over to Kiana at this time. But right now, let me welcome and introduce Cam Berg, librarian with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library System. Cam Tu.
Hey, hello everyone. So my name is Kim Berg, and I'm an adult services librarian at the Allegra Westbrook Regional Library. I'm here to sub in for Jeremy because he's out sick today. So this is my first time sharing resources for a SCORE meeting. So bear with me if I'm a little comfy. The first resource that I wanted to share with you guys is called Data Access Reference Solution. So it used to be called Phone Reference USA. And let me share my screen. Oh, I can't share my screen. Can you guys let me share screen so I can show them the library website?
You should be good.
Okay.
You should be good to go.
Yes, thank you. So first thing first, you can go to our website at themelibrary.org, and to access our database, just click on Research and Learn. So Data Access Reference Solution is in D, so you just hit D. The only thing is you also have to click Apply Filter, otherwise it doesn't go. I wish you could just click D and it goes, but you have to click Apply Filter. And then here it is, Data Access Reference Solutions. So just click on Access now. So Data Access Reference Solution provide advanced search criteria and detailed information to help businesses or youth make informed decisions and organize consumer data effectively. They have the largest database of industry and company information with contact information, sale, and employee figures. So you can search US businesses. They have job listing, internship. You can even find US healthcare, standard white page, and even historical businesses, US home mover, homeowner. So they have lots of data. But the one that you guys will probably use the most is US businesses. So this is very helpful if you wanted to know things like who's the president of a supermarket at your area, or if you want to know how many florists or a particular coffee company are in your area to know who are your competition, how many businesses are already existing, so that you can make informed decision. So you can do a quick search. For example, if you just want to search a company name, for example, Publix, or if you type in a specific search term like coffee, it will give you results. It will probably result. But normally, I recommend using the advanced search, and it will take a while to load. And in advanced search, you can search by different criteria. So you can search a company name. You can even search by executive name, title, gender, ethnicity. So they have lots of criteria that you can search by. So you can just check keyword if that's what you want to search by, and you see it popped up right here. You can search by geography, such as city and state. You can even do zip code, phone number, business size, ownership, if it's female owned, public or private company. You can also include financial data if you want to, but today we're just going to do something very simple, basic. Maybe we'll search by keyword and specific location, geography. So for example, if I wanted to look to see if there's how many floors shop are in Charlotte, for example, or in North Carolina. Let's do North Carolina. So then you can hit view result. And here, the result, we got 570,407. So that is a lot. You can organize the data into alphabetical order by city. They also have like heat map. So heat map is only for 500,000 or less, but they also have chart. Chart is also 50 and 500,000 or less. So we have to narrow our result down a little bit, maybe, because the result are too much for it to handle. But anytime when you see something like this, that means that the company has a corporate tree. So you can click on it to view information about the company. We're gonna go, and maybe we should go back and revise our search a little bit to see if we can make it a little bit smaller. So let's see. I don't know if this will help. A little bit better. So they gave me 63,201. And most of them are in Charlotte. So now you can look at charts. And they have, okay, so they give you data. Interesting. Okay, did they not include our search for floors? Because they give us physician and surgeon information. So let's see what code. To result. Yeah, I think when we update the search, let's do keyword again. I didn't include or search. So you guys can search for, I'm just doing floors as an example, but you guys can search for coffee, or you can search for pet supply if that is your area of interest. Let's go to Charlotte. Okay, let's see if our result is a little bit smaller. Still 63. It's interesting that when I search floors, that it has a bunch of companies that I feel like are not related to floors. So if I do, let's see. Oh, I think I forgot one detail, you guys. So you have to click after you do type in the keyword. Make sure you click on one of these matches, otherwise it doesn't use the code, the CSI code, SIC code. I'm sorry, the to search. So that is one important step. Okay, we'll try again. Let's see, North Carolina. And see if we can find Charlotte here. Okay, let's see. Okay, there you go. So we only have 76 results, which is a lot better. And this time it is relating to what I'm looking for. So all these are in Charlotte. And again, same thing, you can look at the chart. And these are 43 years business in the top 7 zip code. So you can see where's the highest number of floor shop are in which zip code. So 28205 apparently has the most, like 11 businesses, compared to 28269 only has 4 businesses. So if you're looking for to look into like where should I open a shop, maybe this information might be helpful. They even have information like volume, sale volume, and employee size. Data summary doesn't really have a lot, but all of these information, you guys, if you guys are interested, you can download and print. You can also save your search, but you do have to create an account so that way you can save your search. Heat map, let's see if it will give us anything. So yes, because the results are small enough that you can see the heat map of where these shops are located at. So it's, of course, you know, most of them are going to be at the center of the city, Charlotte, and then we have a few that's in the outer urban area. Okay, so this is simply, sorry, data access reference solution, which is formerly known as Reference USA. So that is business search, but you guys can also search, as I mentioned, if you wanted to look up information in someone that is related to you, but you don't have the info, you can look up that. You can look up, this is a good resource to look up business contact information. So if you wanted to build like a list, they have phone number, maybe potential partner. If that's something that you guys are interested, you can download all of this and create your contact list if you want to. Okay, is there any question? I see some in the chat. Great use of resource business database access to the library. Love it. Oh yes, and this is all free. And if you guys don't live in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library, you can check your local area. Your library probably have a subscription to this as well. Okay, so any question on this, if I can answer. If not, you guys can email Jeremy Lytle at the end of the session if you have additional questions. The second resource that I wanted to share with you guys is called Simply Analytics. So same thing, you go to the library website, click on Research and Learn, and then click on S. And don't forget to hit apply filter or it doesn't really go anywhere. There you go. And this is the second one that I want to share with you guys. So all you have to do is click access now. And Simply Analytic is a versatile tool that provide wide range of demographic and geographic data, allowing you to search for specific businesses, visualize data on a map, and customize display for your own project. It's a web-based mapping application that enables you to quickly create professional thematic map and report using demographic, business, and marketing data. So for example, oh, I already have something that I searched, but let's see if I can reset. But you guys can use specific, I think this is covered, location. So for example, if you wanted to search for a specific type of business in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then choose your data. Example, let's see. Again, I'm gonna search for, actually I'm gonna do business. For, let's see, maybe if we do an opening a business, maybe we're interested in the income level, say medium income household, for example. And then let's see. Also, you guys can name your project up here. You do have to create a account so you can save your search info. But if not, you can just play around with it to get used to the resource. So we can choose like medium income household. I'm gonna minimize this so I can see a little bit better. And you can look at the map. And I believe because I already searched, let's do it again. Florist again. And the map will show you if there are more than one business, usually it will clump together and you see a number 2 if it's in close proximity of each other. You can also edit the map. So the color scheme tell you based on median household income. So the lighter color, the lower the income, the deeper the color, the higher the income. So it's in green at the moment, but you guys can also edit your map and choose any color you want. If you want it to be blue or red, orange, or purple. I think I'll go with blue and hit done. But you can click on these numbers and it will tell you the business. So one is called Elegant Flower and they give you the address, the SIC number, and the NAICS number for the company. Line of business is Red Floors. When you go back, there's a list of 3 other ones. So when it's in close proximity, they will group it together. On the right-hand side, so this is the map of Charlotte and all the florist company in the surrounding area. But you can also look at quick report based on the data that you chose. So if you're looking at, we picked medium income. So if you're looking at age group 20 to 24, then the medium income is 60,347, and that is 6% of, I guess, the population. So there's useful information. It depends on what type of business you guys are opening. So if you are opening something that you think age may play a role in the business, for example, you're targeting younger audience or older audience, so this information might be helpful. They also have comparison table here. Education and attainment, bachelor degree or higher. So in Charlotte, the percent is 46.85 compared to the national percentage of 33.85. And then we pick medium income household income, which is 924 for Charlotte and 69 for US. And then the data that we search, which is florist, I'm not sure why they don't have data for Charlotte, but this is just a quick tour of this resource. And the best way to learn is to go in and play around with it. They have lots of data, so they have business count. Again, I can search florist. Let's see. And at the top, they tell you where they gather the data from. So this is from US County Business Pattern. It has a total number of all sector, total number of establishment. And then this is data from US County Business Pattern. This is also from US County Business Pattern. So you can select which data you think is will be useful. Ranking, again, it applies to the data that you choose, and business. So again, it gives you a list of business, kind of similar to data Excel reference solution. I keep calling it reference USA because it's the name that I remember from. But yes, this is another way to get information on businesses that are your area of interest. Comparison tables, I think I went over this. My light just went out. So that is a quick view of the two resources that the library provide. Do you guys have any question on it? See something in the chat.
I don't see any specific questions for the library at the moment.
Okay.
I know that there was a question about some marketing tools as far as flyers, which it looks like the audience kind of chimed in on that. Yeah, I don't see anything specific to your presentation.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll get back to the presentation at hand.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kim. I'm just getting unmuted and back online, so I think I'm ready to join you. And thanks for that presentation. Okay. I'm going to assume everybody can now see my screen that says nonprofit. Is that correct?
No, I see you.
Well, that can't happen. We'll get out of that real quick. Hold on just for a second. Let me get back in there. Everything's good until it's not. All right. There, screen. How about now?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, we're better now. All right. And this is where we left off. We left off with nonprofits. So did anybody have, or can anybody remember any questions that they had regarding the different types of ways to get started in business? Are there any questions regarding that? Did I leave you with any confusion?
I do not see any questions, but I also had to jump back out again because of my connection. So if anyone had any questions, if you want to drop them back in, and then we can make sure we circle back to them.
Sounds good. Okay, let's move on to the next section then, and it's the components of owning a business. The realization hits you soon after you open your doors that you're just not the owner. You're just not the CEO. You also have to make sure that you have administrative roles filled. Is there an office manager that you need? Is there a payroll manager that you need? Is there an accountant, a bookkeeper, or any of that stuff that you need besides actually going face to face with the customer? Who's going to be in charge of accounting? Who's going to be in charge of human resource, marketing, sales, customer service, production and fulfillment? And then finally, technology and facilities. Truth be told, as a business owner, you are all these things. You need to be aware of and on top of each of these areas. And on any given day, you can be responsible for 3, 4, 5, or even all of these different aspects of being in business. And it's important for you to know where your strengths are, what you can do really well, what you like to do, and then maybe you'll have to make a decision on whether you can afford to outsource the things you don't like to do or just don't feel capable in doing. Marketing involves the strategy used to create the desire to purchase. Remember, you got to create the desire, satisfy the need at a reasonable price in a courteous manner. So you need to create and promote your image, build your brand, because no matter how many times we've seen the movie, just because you build it, they won't come. You cannot just expect to open your doors and have people flock to see you. That may happen in a franchise organization, but it won't happen in starting your own business, taking over a business, or any of your other obviously remote businesses. But even if you're in a franchise operation, if it's a good franchise operation, they're going to help you with the marketing. They're going to help you saturate your market area with ads that say, come see the new, whatever it is. Branding is name recognition. You're never going to hit a home run like McDonald's did with the Golden Arches. FedEx has gone through a variety of changes. Microsoft, Google, all those have gone through a variety of different uh, presentations of their logo and their brand. McDonald's, yes, has changed the arches from a very primitive model to what they have today, but it's always been the arches. Qualification of a product or service, your market identity, and advertising. So that's what your branding does. And if you are not comfortable with doing that, again, there are websites and services out there that will help you create your brand. Sales, obviously, one of the major parts of any business. You need to contact and connect with your customers. You need to find those customers. You have to make presentations. They don't have to be as primitive as this one is. It can be more polished. It can be audio, video, lights, anything that attracts attention, or it can be as easy as setting up a table with some posters behind it. You need to be able to prepare bids and close deals, and you need to be able to process the orders that are given to you to be fulfilled. So, looking at all those options, looking at all those hats, looking at all those demands, are you weak in any area of that business operation? Can you take a course that will improve your skills? Are there duties that don't fit your skills that you can hire employees or take on a partner or outsource those tasks? And even if you are skilled, you're not going to be able to do it all. You just simply can't. So find out what the most important ones are to your business that you do really well, and which will you focus on and which you can delegate. Remember, delegation's definition is giving people a task, but not the responsibility. No matter what your employee does or what person does, you are ultimately responsible for that product of their labor. You are ultimately responsible because it's your company. So when you delegate a task, make sure you have a clear definition of what you expect that person to accomplish. Make sure that person understands what you want them to accomplish, and get into deadlines and measurements and how you'll define success. Question to ask yourself also about your product or service: who needs it? Why do they need it? And how is it different than somebody else's? What separates you from your competition? You've heard it in real estate. You've heard it in almost any other aspect of community building. Location, location, location is critical. You can have the best business in the world, the most fascinating widget that anybody's ever created. But if people can't find you, if people can't get to you, or you don't have parking, or you don't have a easily navigated website, whatever the hindrance is, you're not going to be able to get the customers that you need. So decide what your niche, your target market is. Analyze your competition. Is it close? Is it good? Uh, is it cheap? Is it quality? Decide how you're going to distribute your product or service, and then how you're going to merchandise. Price. How does one establish a price for their goods? Number one, the first rule of pricing is it's the right price if people are willing to pay that price. They'll let you know. If it's too expensive, they won't buy it. And frankly, if it's too inexpensive, they may not buy it because they'll associate a lower price with cheap quality or cheap service. You have to determine what the cost of that product is to you, what the cost of the raw materials are to you. You have to decide in your market what your competition is charging. If you notice, whenever you're driving down the road and all the gas prices seem to magically be within a penny of each other, it's certainly not because they called each other up and said, we're going to have this price today. It's certainly not because everybody pays the same amount for their gas, but it's because they want to be competitive with the gas station next to them or down the road. And then finally, are you able to extend credit terms or a discount that will affect the price of your product? A little bit more on this area of price. When you figure the cost, it's not just what you bought, it's not just the raw materials, but it's the labor, it's the utilities, it's all the expenses that go into making that product. You can't just look at it and say, I bought this piece for $5 and I need to make $3 on it, so I'm going to charge $8. Well, what's included in those $3? Is it how much did you pay the person to put it on the shelf? How much did you pay the government to allow you to do business? How much did you pay the utility company to keep your lights on? How all those other issues. and how much are you able to keep for yourself? So when you're setting a cost, it's not a pure, simple calculation. You need to know what it costs you to produce. Some other critical factors in running your business aside to review or be aware of your competitors. Look at the size of their operation, the number of employees, their price, their quality, their services. What is it about that other company that has them established in your community? And what aren't they doing well that you can do better? You should don't be afraid to stop into a local competitor or any other person that's in the same business as you are to see what they're doing, to see how they're pricing, to make any other operations about their branding, their color scheme, their physical plant, whatever it is. Uh, Again, drawing on my experience from McDonald's, we had one afternoon a month where management went to a local Burger King, went to a local burger stand, went to a local Chick-fil-A just to see what they were doing right and where we could do our job better. Um, and obviously, being copied is the sincerest form of flattery, but being able to copy is equally advantageous to your business if you're able to pull it off. You need to look at your competitors for who their suppliers are, who their contractors are, where they're getting their product, and so on and so forth. And are there other businesses in your area that can complement what you do? In other words, is there, again, if you're in the restaurant business, is there a factory nearby or some other place nearby where people will have lunch breaks or coffee breaks or whatever else? And can you piggyback on that, or can you rely on them coming to your business after they're done work for the day or before they start their day? Any questions on that part of it? Any comments?
I see here, Angela says that at times a feasibility analysis is a great tool that potentially supports the business moving from a concept to an actual business. Research on the competition prices, apples to apples, could support developing prices. Tangible inventory is important. Measuring by units, what does it take? Time, raw material. So I think that this was coincides with your pricing slide. Um, if you have any, there's not a question, it's more so a feedback.
Yeah, no, and it's all good feedback. It's all things that need to be considered. Uh, and it sounds like you have a really good handle on it, and I appreciate that you shared it with us because of all the things that I see in pricing. Uh, I mean, in business, pricing has always been the toughest, and I can raise my hand and say for somebody who's supposed to be as intelligent as I am, I was really stupid when it came to selling gas. Um, when I got gas, I looked at what I thought were the costs, and if it cost me $1 to put it into the ground, $1 a gallon, uh, I figured I could charge 5 to 8 cents more per gallon and make a reasonable profit because gas was just something that brought them to my store, and I could make up any losses um, inside on my food items or something like that. But by only charging a nickel more per gallon, I forgot that I was accepting credit cards to pay for gas. Credit cards were costing me 3 cents a gallon. Uh, Utilities were costing me 2 cents a gallon. Maintenance was probably costing me another 2 cents a gallon. So it didn't take long before I realized I was losing money on every gallon of gas I sold. Now, it's one thing to make a limited profit on a product, but you don't want to lose money on a regular basis. So I took me way too long to figure out that I was losing money selling gas. And we made adjustments and became a much more profitable and competitive business. And I also realized that being a few cents cheaper than your competitor wasn't enough to drag them past that location to come to you. If you were going to do it to bring people in, you had to be a good 10, 15, 20 cents less. Making it legal. We all want to start out legal. We all want to know how to organize our business. And there are a variety of ways we can take our business public or to the public, not public. There's a sole proprietorship. That's the simplest form. That's where you are the sole person responsible for all business activities. Uh, it can be you and a spouse, you and a domestic partner. Uh, but uh, again, that's the simplest form. Partnership, limited liability company is a relatively new organizational option. You can be a C corp or a subchapter S corporation. If you're going to be a startup, you haven't done any business or you haven't uh, really had any experience, keep it simple. Go with the sole proprietorship or the partnership. But if you have a liability or taxation concern, look at an LLC. Most of the people that I deal with now are dealing in LLCs. S corporations are a little less popular. Actually, they're a lot less popular and a little more complicated. Keep it as simple as you can. If you feel comfortable to sole proprietorship and your accountant thinks that's the best way to go, then go for it. But I think most accountants and many attorneys are going to be recommending an LLC to limit your liability, limit your exposure, and make sure you have the proper protection um, from uh, all the things that can go wrong. Again, using myself as an example, my company was established as a sole proprietorship. It was my wife and myself. The store in pure Vermont fashion was attached to the living quarters. In 2011, I was in a car crash and sustained a traumatic brain injury. My position had to be filled by somebody else. Uh, so we had to pay them. We had to add hours to the employee payroll. My wife didn't handle my side of the business uh, as well as I did, and Lord knows I couldn't handle her side of the business at all. But all things said and done, within 2 years of my crash, uh, the property was in receivership. The bank took back the property. We lost our investment and we lost both our house, our store, and needed to find a place to live. So basically, I was kicked out on the streets. Uh, Learned a lesson. I could have protected the house. I could have protected a few other assets. Um, LLC wasn't available at that time, but if I would have had a subchapter S corporation, we could have established it a little different. And some of those losses that I incurred could have been protected. Um, Live and learn. I got over it. 3 years after that, I finally reached settlement with the truck that hit me, and we were able to rebuild from that. I had another friend who bought one Popeyes restaurant and failed, and he lost. He had to file bankruptcy, and he lost a lot. Uh, he was able to regroup because he was in a uh, corporation, a subchapter S corporation. He was able to regroup, and now 20 years later, he owns 42 Wendy's restaurants. Government regulations. These are the ones that hit you hard and are when you least expect it. Get your business licenses, get your approvals. This is where a lawyer familiar with your business, familiar with your community, familiar with your state can walk you through the licensing and permit process. It is critical that you get all the licenses and approvals you need before you uh, put a shovel in the ground or enter into a long range agreement. You have to know the labor laws, what the minimum wage is, how long people can work before they have to pay. You have to pay overtime. What the break process is, how many hours or half hours of breaks do you have to award your employees? Are they under 18? Are they allowed to touch motorized, hot, dangerous product equipment? Are they allowed to touch alcohol? The immigration laws, you have to know that you have to complete an I-9 form and other immigration documentation so that ICE doesn't come wandering through your business one fine afternoon and basically close your doors as all your employees run out one door and you're left with nobody to produce. Make sure that you're following all immigration laws. And then finally, IRS, Social Security withholding and payments. My experience with the IRS and with Social Security is that they want you to succeed, but they also want their pound of flesh. They will work with you to get the money that is due them. They will help you arrange a payment schedule if you have acted in good faith to pay your taxes and just came up short. You don't want to be in fear of these agencies and hope they don't find you. They will find you. And you need to make sure that you're proactive in establishing a relationship with these agencies. Some of the other startup costs that you're going to have involved are property, liability, if there are any motor vehicles assigned to the company, an umbrella liability that catches all the things that you don't have specifically listed, workers' compensation. You're going to need health care for yourself, life insurance, health insurance for yourself, and health care for yourself, life insurance for yourself. Um, and if possible, you can offer both health and life insurance to your employees, but primarily your first obligation is to make sure you have health insurance and life insurance. And then finally, business interruption. If you had a tech company and those solar flares hit the other day and you had a business interruption, millions of dollars could have been lost if you didn't have insurance. If for whatever reason, uh, let's say there's a car crash in front of your operation and people can't get to your business, that may or may not be covered by business interruption insurance. But if you have the proper coverage and you're in business and the town rips up the street in front of your business and ruins any parking spaces that you have and ruins access to your building, that's the kind of stuff the business interruption can take care of. And make sure you're aware of your flood insurance, your fire insurance, um, and whatever other protections may be needed. I will tell you that right now, in recent years, there has been a big push from insurance agencies to add a rider for terrorist activities. If your business is interrupted by terrorist activities, that's a call you have to make. You know your community, you know your area, you know the likelihood of your community being hit by terrorists, and you make the decision whether you want to carry that rider. But it's being made available, and obviously, insurance companies market it. Any questions on that section or any comments you'd like to make, Kiana?
I don't see any questions in the chat. I do see looks like some networking opportunities, some emails and contact information being dropped. So I don't have any questions in the chat. And I don't really have any other feedback to add to it. I think you're doing a really good job getting through the slides.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And we'll go to business plan basics. You've probably heard if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. Business plan is critical to the success of your business. You may never, ever look at it again after you open your doors. But the amount of work and effort you put into your business plan before you start is critical to the success of your business. It encourages an objective view, and it becomes the foundation for planning your actions. It's an outstanding management tool, and it communicates your ideas as the owner to your employees, to your suppliers, to your banks, to your public. You'll create a mission statement. You'll create a value statement. You'll create your purpose and objective, and you'll better understand where you want your business to be. I can't emphasize enough. And the biggest thing is that if you do get distracted and you go astray, you follow the latest bouncing ball or the latest shiny object, you can always open up your business plan and get back to what it was you were meant to be doing. Business plan includes a table of contents, an executive summary, describes the business, includes financials, forecasts, and then you provide appendices of supporting data that explain why you're able to make the business financial forecasts that you've made. Again, your SCORE mentor is a great resource for helping you develop your business plan and guiding you through the process. And SCORE has a variety of templates available to help you format your business plan. Back when I was trying to figure out who the third person was that you needed to be successful in business besides the accountant and the CPA, the reason I forgot it is because we're free. but a mentor is also a very helpful person to help get you started in your business and help you create your business plan. So to add that final piece, you need an accountant, you need a CPA, and you should have a mentor. And we're free. And this is their list. You need to have a banker that you're comfortable with, you've opened relationships with, whether it's for personal finance, whether it's for budgeting, whether it's for money, loans, funding. You need a lawyer, you need an accountant, an insurance agent you can trust, and be aware you can't trust all insurance agents. Make sure you review that process, and you need a business mentor. That concludes the presentation so far. Kiana, anything to wrap up before we go into the self-assessment?
Well, I just posed in the chat if there were any questions. So I don't know if you want to use this time for a Q&A.
Sure.
So are there localized resources to help estimate reasonable startup costs?
I'm sorry, repeat that about reasonable startup costs?
Yes. So are there localized resources to help estimate reasonable startup costs?
The SCORE website in their financial has a startup cost spreadsheet page. And I'm sure there are others. And each business owner has to decide what reasonable is. One person can afford $10,000 for startup costs, and one person can only afford $5,000, and accomplish the same goal. So reasonable is your definition. Obviously, you want to find all the items that are listed in your startup sheet. You want to find the best price. Remember that the best price isn't always the best quality or the best answer. But yeah, start with the spreadsheet for startup expenses that SCORE offers, and use that as a guide. And maybe part of the process is doing a low end, a mid range, and a high end, and seeing what cost benefit analysis is.
And I just want to add into that because she says not just a template, but a guide to what it costs for insurance, retail, attorneys, etc., like a starting point. And I think too, really assessing your industry. So kind of just picking back off of what Bill said, depending on your industry, the platform that you will use, I think that all kind of determines where those startup costs lies. Like, do you need retail space automatically, or is it something where maybe you can do some inventory management through a home retail space and you're shipping out, online orders? So I think it's one of those things where you need to, I would use a template guide to kind of help you organize the thoughts, and then start to map out who you may need to get in contact with as far as getting quotes on some of the more professional services and things of that nature.
And I also,
and so another question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to read the next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, before you leave it, just that's some of the information that the library also has. So you can, to piggyback off of Cam's presentation, that kind of information is available at your local library.
Okay, then there's another question. What would be your advice regarding turning looks into sales? For example, if your site is getting a lot of potential customer views, but it is not receiving the sales it needs. Also, this is for a newly started business. So this is pertaining to conversions. any
Yeah. You may not be able to tell by looking at me, but I am not as current with technical material as others are. So, Kiana, maybe you can answer that way better than I can.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that kind of jumps out at me is when you say, you know, your site is getting a lot of potential customer views. I always like to try to determine where those touch points are. So are they coming to the website through a Google search? Are they coming through social media posting? Like what is causing that engagement? And that may be a great place to put a call to action, which is signing up for an email subscription, something so that way you can at least retain the customers who are coming to the site. Um, so mostly direct searches and LinkedIn. So if you know you're getting them from, you know, so that means that your SEO should be doing pretty well if they're directly searching on search engines. And if LinkedIn, so that's social media marketing. So I would insert something that allows you to retain their information. So some sort of call to action, a pop-up box, or something that, you know, a free download where in return they get, you know, you get their email or a contact point for them, and nurture the sales, because they're interested but they're not nurtured. And so that's kind of what that kind of leads me to believe. So to answer the question in a one sentence, I would nurture the sale by getting more information from each individual customer.
To piggyback on that and to bring your attention to something that we offer. Um, Kiana gives great information and has a wealth of knowledge in that area. Obviously, I'm weak in what the latest in technology has available. I am solid in business and other aspects. But if I had a client, if you were my, if I was your mentor and you asked me that question, well, all I'd have to do is touch base with Kiana, ask her if she'd be willing to co-mentor with me for a few sessions, and we together would be able to solve or at least help you solve your concerns. That's the advantage of SCORE. We, if there's a gap in your mentor's knowledge, it's only a matter of sending an email, sending a text, making a phone call, and we'll find somebody who is very qualified in that specific area to help us help you. So having a mentor with SCORE, I can't stress it enough. It's a huge resource, especially for somebody just starting out. Anything
Absolutely.
else before we go? All right.
No
I'm sorry.
questions. Nope.
Okay. Small business readiness, your self-assessment. Again, it's quick, it's easy. Should only take you about 10 minutes to fill in, score it. And uh this was written when we used to do the webinars or seminars in person. With this format, the 5 minutes to share doesn't really work. We've found that not to be productive, but we strongly recommend that you take 10 minutes to fill it in, score it, and have it ready when you reach out to your mentor uh, at your first meeting. Obviously, these are the questions. Is your idea feasible? Do you know what your market is? What's it going to take to implement your plan? Where are you going to get the money? And are you ready to understand and meet the challenges that lie ahead? That's it. That's your self assessment. Give yourself no more than 10 points in any area that you do exceptionally well in, and less if you're not as comfortable. and see how close to 100 you come. If you are going to join us and sign on and request a mentor, then here's your homework. And even if you're not, this is your homework. Write a vision statement for your business that contains the overall purpose of your business, the products and services your business will provide, and what is important to your business. What are the values that your business will live by? So, after having this one class, you're not any closer to opening your doors, but you're a lot closer to making the decision whether this is the way you want to go. So you need to be ready to test the feasibility, to learn about the topics we talked about, to hold off on your decision until you've met with a mentor. And if you are already in business, you can still reach out to SCORE, find a mentor, and we can help you make your business as successful as possible. This is only class one. Next one is your business concept, your marketing plan, financial matters, and funding options. And these are all interspersed with meetings with your mentor to review and firm up those opportunities. There's a student webpage that you can look onto. It includes links to handouts, workshop materials, and additional resources, as well as that library link that we provided earlier. This will take you to SCORE and start your business. So complete those workshop survey. How likely is it that you would recommend this workshop to your friends and colleagues? I'm sure they'll send a review to you to answer these questions on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. Give me a 1. Scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you recommend this workshop for friends or colleagues? Why did you give the answer you just gave? And what could we do to improve the experience that would allow you to give us a close rating closer to 10? Again, I need all the feedback I can get. This is the first time I presented this course. Kiana has been an outstanding assistant and manager to handle all your concerns and questions. You will be getting copies of the presentation, video copies, plus the PowerPoint cards. But we want you to be successful, and we want you to use us to get you there. Kiana, any closing comments?
No, thank you all for joining in with us this evening. You all have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you on the mentee side of SCORE.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night, and thanks for participating. Take care. Bye-bye.